This episode of the podcast is brought to you by our partner, Audible.
Yes, it is. So we are partnered with Audible. That means that if you are looking just to check it out, you don't want to put your card in and just take the dive. You can get 30 days for free on us. If you go to audibletrial.com/JATG or click the link down below, you'll be taken there. You can sign up for 30 days for free and just test it out. Like, there's a lot of stuff on there that you can get for free, a lot of Audible exclusives. But what I really like about Audible is that out of the hundreds and thousands of audiobooks that they have, if you decide to purchase something, that is yours forever. Like, if you decide not to carry on your subscription or you want to take a break or whatever it is, you can always go back and listen to that book whenever you want through the app, on the internet. Doesn't matter, because it's yours. So once again, you can get that for 30 days for free on us if you go to audibletrial.com/JATG.
All right.
Says we're live.
Yes, who's live on Facebook again?
Because sometimes we can't figure shit out.
Yeah, not only can we not figure stuff out, but then other things take priority, and that's just how it goes. So welcome to another exciting edition of Johnny and the Greg. I believe this is episode 130, Greg. We are, I think we're technically, you take all the Johnny Angel podcast, Topic Thunder, and all these, and what we have now currently, I think we're at 198. So we're approaching the 200 downloaded podcast.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy. Anywho, weekend, how was it?
It was fine.
Yeah.
It was pretty low key. Not a lot going on Saturday, and then I got a text from a buddy of mine. He had a couple events on Saturday, and then he ended up kind of going out for some cocktails Saturday night. And so he's like, "Do you want to meet me out?" And we weren't doing anything. And Chris was like, "Sure, that's a great idea. Go hang out with your friend." I was like, "Cool." And then I got back around 3 a.m. So I was like, "Oh,
did the alcohol when you first had it?" And I'm assuming you had alcohol.
I did. Yeah.
Did it go down smooth and good? Like your first sip? Okay. Usually that you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Me and my friend Aaron.
I had,
Aaron.
Oh yeah, I know Aaron.
We used to have these moments where we would drink our first beer and we'd look at each other and he would be like, "Oh no, it went down like water."
That'd be a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. And then other times you could drink it and realize, it didn't taste that great.
Yeah.
So you knew that it's just not going to happen today, but that's fine. You don't need those at your age anymore.
And that's interesting. I think I'm feeling my age, because I didn't get drunk. Like, it was just like, we had some cocktails. At one point I got a little buzzed and I went, well, I'm going to stop now because I got to drive home.
Yeah.
But then this morning I was like, because we ended the night at one place. It's just a local place, but it was a little loud. We were talking a lot. So then I get up, and I had a scar last night. So like my voice was just a little.
Okay.
And so I was like, that's rough. And then I had a family event today. So I'm like trying to cough it all out, like in the morning. And I'm like,
yeah.
And the
privately telling yourself, I can do this. I can do this.
And like my stomach was like, yeah, you don't want to really eat today.
Yeah.
But we're going to a family thing. So there's a ton of food. And I'm like, man, that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a weird. It like my body was like, you need clear soda and like crackers today. That's what you want to eat. And I didn't. I had other stuff. So
okay. My weekend was I was surprised by what we did that got me so jazzed.
Really?
Yeah. So Ursula caught the beginning of a movie on the plane, and about 15 minutes in, stopped it to realize, I don't know what's going on here. I need to watch the original movie. So we've been on the hunt for an original movie that she could watch again. And that
Okay.
movie was Top Gun.
Oh, so she was watching Maverick.
So on the
Okay.
plane, she was watching Maverick. So it finally appeared on Netflix. We got it, we put it
Uh-huh.
in, and we got this new surround system. So I was
Oh,
totally geeked to start that, because
that's pretty cool.
that is is that not the best beginning? Like, it has to be top 3 of a movie ever. Like, to give you
Of
the chills, the sound going.
the original Top Gun, or
Yes.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
They did a good job. And to me, if you really want to, and for some reason it's another Tom Cruise movie, but Days of Thunder, like to put your
That's the
surround
one
sound
after
system
that
to,
I was looking for it. I'm like, how do I find this one?
That's another one where you're
Yeah.
just like, whoa, whoa.
Yeah. So okay, so we rewatched all of Top Gun.
Okay.
Still good. I was still like, wow, great movie, good movie. Whatever, Greg. It was great. It made me go, wow, great movie. Good job.
There's so many jumps though. I mean, it's like,
You think there's jumps?
why in the logic of the film, yeah, like the relationship with the flight instructor, like the whole love story piece.
You
like,
thought they jumped fast?
Take some massive leaps, and then you're
Do
like,
you know
oh,
that they took
okay.
massive leaps in the story? It goes from being at the Top Gun school to halfway through to 2 weeks left.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's
so
the timeline is very compressed.
How long is it? How long is it in a Top Gun? 8 weeks? How long is it?
How long is Top Gun? That's a great question. I'm gonna actually look that up while you keep telling your story.
So anyway, so we watched it with the surround sound, and it brought me back to when I was a kid watching that and wanting to be a fighter pilot. And it's one of those movies where I think back in the 80s it gripped you, like Rocky 4 in the 80s got a hold of you. In fact, there were some times in the 90s we would play the soundtrack before a football game. I remember that. But then we decided to rent on Amazon Prime Maverick. And I'm just going to say it right out. That was a great movie. They did a great job of balancing stuff from the past, adding it to the future. There's one little scene that was a little bit like, oh, okay, that's a little unbelievable. But the rest of it was very, very cool. I really enjoyed it. And it's one of those movies where I was actually at the edge of my seat for the mission. And I'm like, oh, God, what's going to happen here? Because I thought Maverick's going to die. This is how it works. He's going to end up saving Rooster, and he's going to die. So I was very at the edge of my seat for it. The whole family was blown away by Top Gun. We had a Top Gun weekend, and I didn't think we would go there this weekend, but we did. And we just buckled in and really enjoyed the ride of a really good movie and a good sequel. So I was very happy, very pleased.
To answer your question,
yes,
Top Gun is run as part of the Naval Aviation Warfare Development Center at Fallon. I don't know where that is. Top Gun runs 3 13-week strike fighter tactics courses.
3 13 weeks.
Oh, each year for students who were handpicked from Fleet Squadron. So it's 13 weeks, and they run 3 classes a year.
Okay, well, that's enough time to establish summer romance, if you want to call it that. Like, how long is summer?
Well, 3 months. So
how many weeks is that? 12 weeks. Okay, so it's around a season, you could say.
It's a summer fling. Sure.
Have you ever had a summer fling? Have you ever had that?
Not like one that was just like started in summer, ended school, like nothing like that. No.
Okay, I definitely had one.
Yeah,
definitely. And that's what it is. It's a summer thing, and it's kind of one of those, you put it in your memory, you put in your box of good memories, and that's pretty much where it stays.
Was it like a camp type situation? Like you went to camp and
no? Did you ever go to camp? I never went to camp.
No, I did a day camp once when I was in Cub Scouts, but
Cub
Scouts aren't having summer flings. Yeah, but nothing. I never did like the go sleep in a cabin for a couple weeks. No, nothing like that.
Do they even do that anymore?
I believe so, because I think some parents are still trying to figure out how to get their kids to do that. Like,
To answer your question, no, it wasn't a summer camp thing. It was actually a girl I met through a friend, and then I found out she was there for the summer. So I just took the leap and asked if she'd like to go on a date. And next thing you know, we were hanging out with each other the whole time. It was one of those perfect situations where she was living with her grandparents. Her grandparents loved me, and like we were making plans for like marriage, silly stuff, because we were caught up in the moment. And then next thing you know, boom, high school hit, and that was it.
Back to school, and
back to school, and that was it. And 2 months later, we never talked to each other again. But we always just. I think one time when I was dating a girlfriend in college, she reached out to me to try to get together because I think she wanted to rekindle it. Maybe.
Sure. Yeah. See if someone was still there.
It was. Yeah. It was done. It was done. It was over.
I guess the closest I had was I went with a friend to. It was his girlfriend's friend was like in a wedding.
Okay.
Or something like that. And no, that's a different situation. But it's the same friend. He and I went to, there was like it was like a dance club, but it was meant for like 18, like 16 to 20, I think, was the dance club. Huh? Yeah. It was called Wally Gators in Monroe.
Wally Gators.
Yep. And it was a dance club. They had a couple pool tables, so guys would be there, and it was a no alcohol meant for teens club. And you're like, okay. Yeah. And we went there once, and he had moved to our town like somewhere in middle school. And he introduced me to some of his friends from his old school, and there was a girl there. And granted, this was before email or anything like that, and she would write me letters like through the mail.
Oh, letters.
Yeah, it was handwritten letters. And my penmanship is terrible, so like it was embarrassing to try to write her letters back. And it was,
well, that's an interesting thing right there. Yeah, like most guys aren't about letters. Like I can speak from experience. I loved getting them, but I never wanted to return it, like write it.
Yeah.
I never, the guys are very.
We exchanged a couple letters, a couple phone calls.
That was it.
And yeah, it just kind of fell apart. And then like the following year, so I would have been a junior at this point in high school, again, at a friend's graduation party. And she had two friends up from Chicago, and weird time in my life where both of them were kind of interested. And I was like, well, I don't know what to do. And one of them, again, wrote some letters, some phone calls. And I was just kind of
wait, after just meeting you, they wrote letters? Like you didn't have moments with them? They just they were it's really nice to meet you, and they were like,
no, there were moments. Like we hung out for like 3 days.
Oh, okay,
okay. They were up visiting their friend.
I see.
Or her graduation, and I met them graduation, like the day before graduation. Hung out for the day, met them the graduation day, and hung out at the party. Got in trouble for staying out way too late at this girl's graduation party. But I was like stranded, like they lived way out in the country, and my ride had left, and I didn't know about it. So I'm like, how can I get home? And one girl who had since graduated high school and was a hairdresser, she's like, well, I've got to do this other girl's hair, but afterward I can drive you home. And I'm like, oh, cool. I didn't realize that was like a 3-hour thing. So I got home and like, yeah.
So she did a girl's hair at like 11 o'clock at night?
Yeah, 12 o'clock at night. And I got home around 3. And the way long distance companies worked at the while, because at the time, kids, you couldn't make a phone call like a certain distance away without charging it. And I was a guest at this person's home. I'm like, I shouldn't be making a long distance phone call. And so I didn't call home to be like, hey, Ma, I'm stuck. Like, I don't know why that would have mattered. But in my 17-year-old brain, I was like, well, no, I don't want to do that. That'd be rude. So I didn't. And
so you took the hit.
So when I got home, Mom's waiting at the door. She's like, what happened? And so I guess that was the day before graduation. Because then the day of graduation, because I was at the house of, they were both teachers in the district, and their daughter was graduating, and my friend was dating their daughter. And so like they, at graduation day, because I was in chorus and we had to sing at graduation, so I had to be there. Mom was mad, but then Mrs. Daniels, God bless her, came up to mom. She's like, I just want you to know that your son was so respectful and so nice. And like,
well, there you go. That'll help
and
you
she, and mom's like, well, thank you. And then she looked at me. She's like, am I still grounded? She goes, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
So,
Marshall got on the comments and said the opening scene in Gladiator kicks butt as well. I don't remember the opening scene.
Really?
Are we talking about when he's lining everybody up and he says, on my command, unleash hell?
Yeah. Like the opening battle scene.
I don't mean that. I mean the beginning of, like, have you ever seen a cooler, like when they're doing the titles?
Yeah, like when the fanfare is coming through and you see the Paramount stars and it's
yeah. Is there anything cooler than that moment? Like, can you think of any? Maybe Conan. Dun 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 dun.
Maybe, I mean, but that wasn't even over the fanfare, where it's a big deal. It is a big deal for a studio to start playing
music during
they're going to forego their logo more or less and integrate things in the movie. Now Tom Cruise is worthy enough now that he's able to do that, but
he wasn't back then.
So it was a big deal for them to be like, this is what we're going to do.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. So I wanted to talk to you about something, because I know you are not in this space. And what I mean by this space, you are not in the reality TV show space.
Not at all.
Okay. Now, I haven't actually watched this. I was actually going to watch this for podcast research purposes, but it didn't show up on my Hulu.
Okay.
So what I came with, what I found as I was driving throughout the day, I listened to talk radio, and on a sports station, they started talking about a reality show that is so far away from sports, it piqued my interest. So let me paint the process for you. There's some listeners out there who are hearing this right now. It's a new one that came out called MILF Manor. Okay. So Greg, if you can picture it, it is a love show. Okay. It is one of those reality shows. Yeah, one of those dating shows. Now, it is MILF. So as you guys can imagine, for those who do not know what MILF is, look it up. Google's a wonderful thing.
Thank you, American Pie.
Yeah. So they have, let's just say, I don't know the exact number, but they have these 10 MILFs that go into this island with as much alcohol, no cell phones, and no TV, so that you have alcohol and a beautiful beach, to get everybody in their best bikinis and feeling good.
Sure.
And so if you're a MILF, it's obviously for the older women, it's them getting their groove back with younger men, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So if you can picture, they have these 10 equally young studs ready to, get together with these MILFs. Now, here's the catch. Here's where it gets weird.
It's not weird already.
No, because it's just MILFs, and they're gonna go on this, I've seen this dating show 100 times. The problem is when they reveal the curtain on who these MILFs get to look at, it's each one of their sons.
Oh,
yes, I heard that and went, what? So for those of you who still don't follow, there's 10 females.
Yeah.
Each one of those females has a son, and they're all there. So it's not mom on son. It's mom watching her son and her son watching the mom hook up with a younger guy. And it's just, I was like, are you kidding me? This is who
therapy included?
Kidding. Not only that, what's funny is it's on the Learning Channel. Remember TLC when they used to be the Learning Channel? Now they're just Smut TV.
Is that what TLC stands for?
Yeah.
The Learning Channel. I didn't know that.
Yes.
So wow.
It gets worse, Greg. The first challenge to get the best room available. Okay. God. The mothers have to be blindfolded and they need to feel up and down the torsos and the shoulders of these men and figure out which one is their son.
Oh, that's
Can
not
you imagine
right.
that? Why would you
No.
do that? That's so
No.
gross. Can you imagine the son there and the, oh my God.
That's
Like,
cringy.
Not only is that cringy, that is so wrong. I was like, you got to be kidding me. How is this on TV? How is this allowed? How do they think that's okay?
Somebody read too much Game of Thrones and said, oh, but society will accept it because the Targaryens were doing it. This will be fine.
My God, I couldn't believe that when I heard it. Now, the next thought I had in my head was, I wonder if this is reversed, how this would fly.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
A dad and daughters on an island.
Yeah.
Me and Ursula thought that the exact same time when I was talking to her about it. She goes, oh my God. I go, there would be fights. There would be fights.
There were absolutely.
A dad would knock out another dad.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't handle that.
Well, and even just that first challenge, like,
yes,
here, feel the curves on this. You're blindfolded and see if you can tell which one. No.
Disgusting. Imagine you going on the show with your mom. She's listening right now.
She is. No,
and that was the first challenge, Mrs. Struley. That was the first challenge you had to do.
No,
Jesus, and she's absolutely right. That is gross. What is wrong with people? She is absolutely right. I could not believe that's on.
And these people vote. That's an issue. I mean, these are.
Somebody came up into the boardroom and said, "All right, guys, here's my new idea."
This went through multiple approvals, and anybody who kind of went, "Are we sure we want to do?" is probably got fired.
Yeah,
oh,
probably. I couldn't believe it.
I hope it crashes and burns just to save society a little.
Me too. God. Yeah, what a train wreck! What an absolute train wreck.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So,
well, I came across a TV show, which is mine is light in comparison to this.
All right.
I actually sent it to you. I got to get the name right. It's Dana White, who's the UFC's CEO.
What do you think about what he did lately?
Well, I bet he's done it a lot, is what it is.
Yeah, I agree too.
And what Johnny's talking about is this guy on New Year's Eve, someone they were in a club, he and his wife, and someone had a video. They're like, "Hey, look, Dana White's up there," and he and his
arguing
wife arguing. Yeah. And the wife, it looks like she either pushes him or slaps him. I can't remember.
I think she slapped him.
Okay, or threw a drink in his face too, or something like that. Okay, but then he goes. He gives it right back and he smacks her and she kind of goes flying back. And I'm like, oh boy. Yep. And I don't hear people like calling for this guy's dismissal on anything.
There were a lot of people that I heard of. In fact, the one that brought it to me was Emmanuel Acho. You know him.
Yeah.
He brought it because the press conference that Dana White held, and I'm going to paraphrase it. And I'm not going to get it down for down. So don't at me for this because I get the whatever wrong. Yeah. But basically what he said was, no one's hurting more than I am. And it would hurt everybody if I were to step down or give myself a suspension. It would hurt everybody around me. So it came across very, I'm above this.
Yeah.
And it just, it didn't go right.
And I didn't have a lot of respect for Dana White to begin with.
Neither did I.
But
that is a testosterone alpha male.
Completely. Yeah.
Oh, and like I would say toxic alpha male.
Yeah. Yeah. And people wonder why Andrew Tate, who is a complete douchebag, like, why does he exist? He exists because guys like Dana White are giving him jobs and putting him on a platform.
Who?
Andrew Tate. He's
I don't know.
Oh, really? Well,
I'm not familiar with Andrew Tate.
A whole other topic that we should talk about later. But
okay.
So the show that I saw, which is on the UFC, is called the Power Slap League. And it is this competition where and it's men versus women, or men versus men, or women versus women. You stand straight up and let another person just kind of, eye it up, and then whack, and they just smack you square in their face. And and you go back and forth trading blows, and the first one to drop loses.
Okay.
And
I want to ask you about a lot of this.
Okay. I saw one video of a guy, his face.
I sent you that.
So swollen up. You
Yes.
sent me that. Yeah.
Yes.
And I was like, what the hell is this? And so that's when I looked into it. And there are neurologists that are like, this is dumb. Like the NFL, for all of their faults, are actively trying to do concussion protocol correctly. And then this shit comes out where it's just like guys are getting knocked out from slaps, because a slap can be that hard. And they're knocked out, and they're immediately going into that fencing thing, which is when their fingers start to like just
freeze
up.
You saw
I did.
that?
Oh yeah, there's videos out there of that. And you're like, oh my gosh.
Does anybody else know about the rules of this? Like, what I mean by that is there a penalty if you like, do I have to keep my arm straight and wind up that way, or can I go like that? Yeah. Like, can I cock my arm and throw my hip into it type thing?
So no.
Okay. I mean, that's number one.
So here, let me read this, and this is because it's right on here. What is power slap and what are its rules? So there's a 2-minute long video that you can look up. This has been licensed by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, Nevada being home of Vegas and Reno and all those other places. So it's just bets is what they're looking at. So these guys don't give a shit about fighters at all. So before the match kicks off, a coin toss takes place to initiate the first slap. There is a maximum of 3 rounds in a fight. Each round, the fighter will deliver an open-handed slap to the opponent's face. At the start of the first round, the first striker has a limit of 30 seconds to deliver the open-handed slap below the eye, but above the chin. So there's like a target area. The striker cannot lead with the palm of his hand, and the whole hand must make contact at the same time. After the slap, the competitor has 30 seconds to recover and back to fight position. Judges use a 10-point must system like boxing, with the winner in a scoring round of 10 points and the opponent scoring 9 or fewer. Those receiving the slap are not allowed to flinch, raise their hands, or raise their shoulders, or tuck their chin. The rules would appear to be behind claims that they are effective defenses. It is the ultimate test of toughness, says White.
Dana White?
Dana White, yeah. So literally, you're just going against your body's every instinct to duck or block or whatever, and you're just getting smacked in the face.
Okay. I'm just going to say this is dumb, but
yes.
I also want to, like, what happens if you miss or you misjudge the slap and you hit like their eardrum, like you hit their ear and like
you just
pop
get
it.
Points taken off, I guess. But yeah, I mean, that's a devastating industry that can really mess you up for life if you get smacked in the ear hard enough.
Not only that, you get smacked hard enough, you're going to have a concussion.
Yeah, but that's what these doctors are saying. All these neurologists are like, are you dumb? Like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
At least in boxing, there's slipping and moving. I mean,
you're just sitting here and letting it happen.
You're just going to sit here and have some of these dudes are fucking giants. They're like power lifters. And you're going to take a full on undefended smack from these guys that are already, benching 500 plus. And you're just going to take a smack like that.
Yeah, I don't know, because I was reading comments. Can you do this, or do you have to be straight out and cut?
I think it's straight out. Everything I've seen is straight out.
Okay,
but it's straight out, but I mean, you can still get a lot of force involved.
Of course you can. Yes, I've seen some on Instagram, and they're brutal. I don't see they're can you find horrific slap injury, how would you like the photo and then share it? Because I can't imagine there's one worse than the one I sent you. Like what happened to that guy's face? It literally blew up on the side, like in terms of When I mean blew up, it means like just swollen. It just got so swollen. It looked like half his face moved, to be honest. So yeah, I don't have. Has anybody watched that? Does anybody know anybody that does that? You know, maybe you should check their sanity, because that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, to me, this is outside of any kind of fighting arena. I mean, this is just nuts.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is
I wonder how much that place pulls in.
I don't know.
Like,
I mean, it's in Vegas. Like that's where they're holding this. Is
like,
in
who's
Vegas.
the champion?
And here I found that picture. This is 5 days ago. This was posted.
All right, you can see this on our YouTube channel when we download this. Go ahead. Sorry.
In slap fighting tournament, this guy is injured. So this is not pretty.
Yeah, it's really not.
So you can see, like, he took that. I mean, that is just ridiculous. And even
anybody else see that? Like, that is nuts.
Here he is taking a belt for that kind of punishment.
Oh, he won. He won that,
I guess. I mean, even here, look at.
Oh my God!
Look how bruised that is.
Yeah. Go to the first picture you got there. That's a perfect picture. Look at that, folks. That's after getting slapped in the face. My God.
And here's a before and after. This is what he should look like. This is what he normally looks like, and this is after his event.
Like, that's enough to stop. That's enough for me to look in the mirror and go, you know what? I think I took this too far.
Like, hopefully his loved ones are like, did you make enough money? Can you stop now? Because
are you done?
You're going to have, I mean, but I saw along the same lines. I saw a woman. She had just finished her first bare knuckle league fight.
Oh no.
She lost, but I mean, literally black and blue all over, eyes swollen shut, totally black. And she's like, it was fun. It was hardest thing I've ever done. I learned a lot. And I'm like, yeah, I bet you did
a lot. I learned a lot.
You should learn to go home. Like,
how much force do you think a full slap from an offensive lineman would feel like to your face?
I don't know.
Could you judge it by getting hit by a car, getting hit by a bat? What's the force?
I mean, I when you figure it's like pounds per square inch.
Yeah.
I mean, because force is measured in a lot of different ways. So even if you're hit by something that's bigger and your whole body's taking that energy is kind of dispersed a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So these guys, I mean, because you're building up. I mean, like, the farther out you throw it, I mean that's building up more power. That's just how physics works. And so, yeah, you're taking like a car crash to the face.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that's going to have some give is the fact when they hit you, their wrist is going to give a little bit. But no,
of course not. No, you don't want any part of that. Wow. All right.
And when you look at it, everybody's like disturbing footage, concussion protocol. I mean, all this stuff.
Oh, yeah. It's horrendous.
Okay. Maybe there's a neurologist and a concussion expert that are just ripping into this and trying to get it
shut down.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. At this point, if those fools want to sit up there and do that, then that's on them. It really is. It doesn't take a genius to sit up there and look to yourself and go, you know what? I don't think that's going to work. I don't think
it's right up here with like bum fights, though. Like, there should be a line where they're like, this is unconscionable. Like, you shouldn't be doing this. So even if people are trying to make, they're informed adults making him, like, yeah, they're informed adults that you're bribing to stand there and just get slapped.
You think it's a bribe?
Well, they're getting paid. So yes.
So you think that's a bribe?
Essentially, yeah. You're like, will you stand and get smacked in the face by this giant for this much money?
How much would it take for you?
None. Like, for that,
what if it takes care of every debt you've ever had?
I don't know. I mean, that
just to get slapped once,
every debt you've ever had, or permanent, like having a traumatic brain injury.
I just kind of think that you could handle one. I mean, people that are constantly going through the rounds of this, I understand, but just one good slap from like the world champion, like,
I don't know.
And they say like $1 million take the slap. You know,
It's like, let's be this is the old $1 million to get in the ring with Mike Tyson. Do you do it? Do you not? And I'm like, well, at least I'd have a shot at fighting back, even though I'm going to get knocked out. I don't know.
Don't think I'd get in the ring with Mike Tyson.
Sean makes a good point here, though, where he's like, for this, the fact that we're talking about is publicity for the show. So it's like, you know, bad publicity is still publicity. And you're like, yeah. Oh, he said ESPN won't talk about it because they're partners.
Yeah, Acho isn't on ESPN. He's on Fox. So I thought fighters for UFC got paid good. Am I wrong?
Oh, well, they get prize money, but they don't get like insurance, their health insurance or
okay.
Like there's a lot of you're essentially like an independent contractor.
I see. Okay.
So like the UFC owes them nothing. Like there's no unionization, and the UFC is really not. They don't care about the health of their fighters.
Oh no, probably not.
So
yeah. All right.
Honestly, from what I know of the WWE, it's very much the same thing. Like those wrestlers, they're independent contractors, but they do have a contract with the WWE, which means they can't go anywhere else to wrestle.
Yeah.
And like they're paying for all of their travel, they're paying for all of their room and board, all of their medical stuff, which I believe has to go through like their doctors, but they need to pay for that.
Okay.
So like there's no like we're taking care of our talent at all.
Okay. Greg, are there any more D&D updates? Like, have they rescinded? Have they not? Are they trying to hide stuff?
They put out another thing this week, and honestly, I didn't even read it because I think it's another draft. And I'm getting so bogged down in there's a little bit of like the cancel culture that came out of like, you know, it came out, it was bad, and everybody else was like, burn Wizards of the Coast. And I'm like, well, let's see what they respond with. They're like, okay, we'll wait for a response. Response comes out, burn them. It's like, did you read it yet? I mean, it was a little reactionary. So I'm still taking a breath. I'm still trying to see. Now, when people are talking about D&D Beyond, for the longest time, those guys weren't actually owned by Wizards. They were a third party development team that was contracting. So they are now owned by Wizards, and they're trying to come up with some stuff, which even when that was announced, I think over a year ago, I was like, oh, this is interesting. What's going to happen here? But I don't know. I'm waiting for the end all be all. Like, let's see what happens, and I'll make my decisions from there.
Okay.
So not a lot going on. It's not, I don't think it's going to stop me from participating in anything right now, or even like when the D&D movie comes out. I don't think I'm going to boycott it. I think I'll go see it.
I don't,
because I know how the money runs in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And like Hollywood's not giving up their ticket sales money to WotC.
No, probably not. Yeah.
No, I mean,
probably not. You know, it's funny. I'm seeing D&D everywhere. I'm seeing toys. I'm seeing, you remember Golden Books with the golden binders on the side? They have a Golden Book Childs of the D&D 80s cartoon.
Yeah.
I'm shocked. Like it's just all of a sudden coming out of the woodwork.
Season 2 of the Legends of Vox Machina premiered on Friday.
Never knew about it.
Yeah.
I just came across it.
And it's a D&D. It exists in
D&D world.
Well, and that it's kind of like this open gaming license thing. Like that show wouldn't exist without the open gaming license.
Yeah.
Like, or if it did, they would be using like maybe a different system. And part of the issue that creators are having, they're like, so what WotC is saying is like, hey, you've created that. Now we can do whatever we want with it. And people are like, no, that's still our creation.
Right.
Even though it's become like its own multi-million-dollar thing. And that show was crowdfunded. Like the fans made that show happen. So yeah, like I said, until a final thing comes out of like, hey, this is what it is. And a lot of speculation, a lot of like, well, I know a guy who heard from a guy who said that he met a girl that did this or heard this in the office.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay. So,
yeah. All right. I don't really have much more.
yeah, pretty light week.
It was a light week. I wish I could come up with something. I mean, if you want to, Greg, you can talk about how mom reacted when she found out you wore boxers for the first time. That's always a good story.
You want me to tell that story?
Let's throw it out to the 4 people listening to us. Mrs. Feely does not count.
I see 6. 7.
Oh, 6? Okay.
Yeah, we went up to 7. Well, I'm going to tell a story anyway because
give us a vote. Give us a thumbs up or something. Let us know if you want to hear this. This is a good story, people. Just letting you know.
We're probably going to tell it anyway because we've only been on for like 40 minutes.
Yeah. We'll end with this story.
Yeah, we can see if there's any
hard pass. Come on, Marshall.
Too bad, buddy. You can log out if you want. So I was a junior in high school, so 16, 17, and like being brought up in the 80s, it was the tighty whities. Like that was the gold star standard, man. Your mom says she doesn't remember. Well, this is 100% true.
Well, buckle in.
So and hopefully I tell well. I don't know if it's that. Might not be that interesting. So I don't know what it was, other than like when you're doing laundry and like my family would throw like all the laundry in at once. It wasn't like, oh, here's my pile, here's my brother's pile, here's my dad's pile. It was just like, oh no, we're doing whites, all the whites, bam. And I'm like, I don't want to like, and we started to all be like of similar like size, and I'm like, what if my undies get mixed up with like my brother? That's weird. I don't want to wear his. So I'm like, what are we gonna do here? Like, do we go for colors? Do we go for? And for some reason, I got it in my head. I'm like, well, I don't like the tighty whities because like the crease was starting to like kind of cut into my thigh a little bit. The real reason of that is like I was probably just they were too small. And
not only that, it was getting to the point where wearing tighty whities wasn't like cool.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, no. So I somehow, the first pair I ever bought, I actually got from Notre Dame University. Like I was there on a college tour, and
that's right. Okay.
And they were there, and I was like, you know what? I wanted to buy something from like the shop, but I'm like, I don't want a spiral notebook that's got the Fighting Irish on it. Like, what am I going to get? And I'm like, I can't.
You didn't need a hat.
I couldn't get a hat, couldn't afford a hoodie. I mean, whatever like that. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get these boxers. They were green plaid, had the little logo there on the leg. It's like, okay. And I had them. I'm like, well, if I got them, I might as well wear them. Yeah. So I started wearing them, and I was like, oh, this is like the first day I wore them. I'm like, this is
free.
This is freeing. I feel I'm like
glorious.
This is I got room. I can move. We do some stretches or something. I don't know. I just like, all right, this is great. And so then I like they made it into the rotation. I'm like, well, I've only got one pair. I want more. So me and my buddy, like we were out shopping one day. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna pick up a pack of boxers. And he's like, okay, whatever. Probably like JC Penney, like 4-pack for however much. And so those made it in the rotation. And all of a sudden it got to be like, what are these? Like the whole, like the men in my family, and then what are these? They're boxers. And I remember my mom holds them up and she's like, Greg, are you wearing boxers now? And I was like, yeah, I like
do
them.
Something wrong. Greg?
Yeah. And like, it was like one of those things. I'm like, yeah, I am. I kind of like them. They feel good. What? And she's looking at him, and she looks at me, and she goes, well, your dad doesn't wear boxers. I'm like, I know. These are mine. And then the real question is, well, do you wear underwear underneath them? I'm like, what?
You know, don't get on her for that. I knew a friend that did that. He would wear the tighty whities, and then he'd wear the boxers underneath. And I would always ask him, like, why are you doing that? He's like, oh, it just feels comfortable. I'm like, then just stick with tighty whities. Who cares?
Yeah. No. Yeah. So that was my official switch over to boxers, and like my
Like
family was just
that's a
baffled.
story that I always picture like almost just coming out of a sitcom.
It
Like where it was
practically
kind of
did.
like,
Yeah.
what are you doing, Greg?
It was
Wearing boxers.
like it was
Why?
almost like a little.
Why would you wear a boxer?
Like this little intervention over laundry, and I can still see my mom like sitting there in front of the laundry, like holding them up, got the basket there, and she's like, "But why,
Greg? Let's have a talk.
Yeah.
Everybody sit down and let's have a talk, and we want to understand."
And my dad was like, I don't know. Like because even from the military, they were like, "Do you want a brief or do you want a boxer?" And I guess he always took the brief, and that's what dad had, so that's what we're gonna have. And I'm like,
that's interesting.
Nope.
I don't think I would want briefs. No. Not boxer briefs. I wouldn't want boxers in the Army for some reason. I would think I wouldn't.
There's sometimes you just need support. I mean, you need your boys kind of tucked up and when you're being active and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a big moment that my family had to kind of deal with. It was awkward. I think it's funny.
Was it one of those situations where your brother walked into was like, "So I heard you're wearing boxers. What's up with that?"
A little bit. Yeah. I don't remember his response, but it was one of those he's like, "You're wearing boxers?" Yeah. Because he was going the other direction. He was doing like the bikini brief, 1990s.
The bikini brief. Wow.
Like the
Jean-Claude Van Damme in Bloodsport.
Yeah. Yes. He was going that route. And I'm like, nah,
can't do that. I remember, do you remember when Jams, the shorts, was a popular thing? Jams.
Oh, what was that?
It was like decorative shorts, right? But they were called Jams. Like Google them, look them up. Go Jams shorts. It was an 80s thing. It was super popular.
Is it with a Z?
No, it's not. No. But that also reminds me of those other ones, those tiger stripe pants. You got them now?
Yeah, they look like
they're just decorative like shorts. They were like the thing to wear.
Here, we'll throw these up on the screen.
Bikini briefs were called Bravos. Bikini briefs were called Bravo. Oh, for guys. Okay. That was
80s.
Yes. Those were them.
Straight out of Saved by the Bell.
Yes. They were so popular in my school. I asked my mom, she's like, okay, it's time to go out and, get your spring stuff on, or get your spring out wardrobe before. And she's like, what do you want? I'm like, I want Jams. She's like, Jams. I'm like, yeah. She's like, okay, I'll get you a pair of Jams. She comes home with
Jams?
Red, blue, white, green sweatshirts. And I'm like, why'd you do this? She's like, oh, I got them for you for these shorts. And what she got me were thigh-high shorts that were just one color. Most of them were white and tan. And I'm like, what is this? She goes, well, I forgot she brought polos too.
Oh, okay.
So what she was trying to do, and there's a famous show in if you look at Revenge of the Nerds, the quote unquote cool guys wore the polo shirts, the sweater that you rolled the sleeves together, and then you had those thigh high shorts. She's like, I'm like, Mom, these aren't Jams. She goes, honey, you don't need Jams. You're gonna look like a college man now. I'm like, I'm 12. Like, no one's gonna believe I'm college. What is that? Like, no girl I know is gonna care if I'm. So, needless to say,
that's rough.
That was rough. So, moms, I know you meant well, but no, you didn't.
Yeah. There's more stories I can tell of my mom dressing me. We'll save those for other times. We don't have much to talk about, but
yeah. So I think we'll end it there. I know this is a short one, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit here and just blab just to blab. Real quick though, this is probably where we'll lose half our audience. Greg, the NFL championships are set. Who's going to the Super Bowl? You got the Chiefs and the Bengals. Who's winning that game? At Kansas City. I
watched the Bengals today and they look pretty good. So I'm thinking it's Bengals 49ers.
I'm hoping it's Bengals 49ers. I do not want to see Chiefs and Eagles for some reason. I don't want to see
that game doesn't interest me. Bengals 49ers.
I think that'd be a fun game. Yep. All right, guys. Greg, Sign us out, sir.
Yeah, as you're going through your week, and it is the doom and gloom of winter here in the upper Midwest, where I don't think we've seen the sun now in 3 weeks.
Yeah,
Like it has been a kind of a trudge. So find your positivity however you can. And when you're dealing with people out in the world, they haven't seen the sun either. So just remember that and don't be a douche.
Yes. And one last thing. Wednesday is my birthday. I want to see comments before I leave this live thing saying happy birthday. I'm a little depressed about it. First time ever. I'm a little depressed about it.
Little diva digging for happy birthday.
I need it. I feel bad. I don't know. I feel really bad this year. Like, I'm like, and it's not 47. I think it's the whole, what is that? The seasonal disorder thing.
Yeah. See, that's that we haven't seen the sun so many weeks.
Yeah. That's really got me down lately. Really got me down. So, I'm just saying.
My Aunt Brenda said happy birthday.
That'll work. And not only that, I am trying to throw out some sort of, thank you, Marshall. Thank you, Brenda. I am throwing out some sort of a hint. Let's see if someone picks it up. A tin of cookies would be great for my birthday. I'm just saying.
Sweet Jesus.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So for the Greg, this is happy birthday, Johnny Angel, saying so long, farewell, podcast out. Take care, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.